Welcome back. BDCKR here, and we're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. It is the week of September 18th, 2025. The current challenge is Mortal Kombat Scorpion. The title in the game only says Scorpion, but we know it's Mortal Kombat Scorpion. It is a one-week repeat. The required characters are Lobo, Black Adam, and Joker, who are available as cheaply as gold, silver, and silver in the store. Mortal Kombat Scorpion's passive is Fire and Blood. Scorpion's heavy swiping combo causes his opponent to suffer bleeding damage over 2 seconds, and his specials inflict fire damage over 6 seconds. He's got 950 attack, 850 health. He was last available September the 5th, 2024. Alright, stats. Pretty low stats. He's actually not just low, but he is the lowest stats of all the Scorpions. So Mortal Kombat X is 1200 and 1000. Classic Scorpion is 1400 and 1200. Compare that to 950 and 850. Neither of them breaks 1000. Last week's Survivor Pack then was the clue to this week. So his passive is 2 abilities. Scorpion's heavy swiping combo gives you bleeding or inflicts bleeding damage, and his specials inflict fire damage. Special 2, it looks like there's maybe 3 hits on the initial animation of a fire column coming out of the ground, because it seems like there's 3 damage numbers. And the good news is those 3 hits are ranged. The bad news is it's finished off with 3 kicks, and none of the 3 kicks are ranged. The timing between hits is good. So here's your problem. If the fire column doesn't knock out the opponent and you haven't waited until Scorpion engages closely enough, if you're using Master's Death card and Master's Death card shoves the opponent away, or you try to do a swipe combo to get the bleed effect, that also shoves the opponent away. So you need to wait and get closer, because if you don't, and the fire column doesn't knock out the opponent, you whiff on the last 3 kicks, typically. But the time between the hits being good means that if the fire column knocks out the first opponent that's facing you, and it can because it looks like he's dishing out 3 hits, and when they crit, that's more than 30,000 damage each, then at least 2 of the 3 kicks that follow will hit the opponent that's tagging in, because when the opponent tags in, they tag in right in front of you. Pretty standard, not at a distance. Lack of range no longer matters. What's interesting also is that his special 2 damage is his stated special 2 damage not reduced, unlike many other specials that have a status effect. So despite having damage over time, he has comparable damage on his special 2 for somebody else with the same attack stat. And this lack of reduction of damage is most often seen if a status effect is part of the passive instead of built into the special, but not always. And looking back at previous notes, I think this might have been a correction at one point, because it looks like some point in the remote past, his special 2 stated damage was reduced in half, which is typical of specials with status effect. His basic's pretty slow, which is typical of Scorpion. And so the main way I think that his swipe combo is going to be playing at all is on the tag in, where you can typically get a combo in unblocked. The 20% boosted damage on bleeding makes you think it's good to do a swipe combo on tagging in, and it is, but let's face it, 2 seconds, very short. His special 2 isn't ranged very much, so you need to time it just right to get maximal damage within 2 seconds of completing a swipe combo. The other thing I'll say, despite his swipe combo being so slow, the fact that it is a swipe combo effect, it's much better for not being a tap combo ender effect, because combo ender you don't always get. But the 2 seconds makes it really hard to use. As we mentioned during our Q&A when we were first, just earlier this week, I think season 14, episode 13, we already mentioned during that Q&A, the swipe combo has 4 hits. The second, third, and fourth hits are less ranged than the first hit, which is not obvious because they're all sword sort of cuts. but it's important if you want to trigger his bleed on swipe combo, you need to pause if you're tagging in with Master's Death card, because if you don't, the first swing of the sword might hit, but then the second, third, and fourth don't, and then you don't get the bleed effect that triggers on the last hit. So he's not bad. I mean, he's a little bit of fun, and I think what you want to watch out for is the fifth fight, which is coming up around 2 minutes, around 7.5 minute mark. Despite being our main damage dealer and despite damage over time, the team, because of the way it's composed, is still able to handily, well, maybe handily is exaggerating, is able to take care of and beat a Blackest Night Flash team, which has the unhelpful ability, unhelpful for us, where any damage over time gets reversed, and instead of losing health, a Blackest Night Flash team will gain health and gain extra power from it. But we still beat them. So that's probably worth watching. I should also point out, too, for things worth watching, it's been an interesting week. If you did not watch the Q&A earlier this week, you might want to. There is one of those rare fights where Scorpion does a super simultaneously with the opponent. So there's both of us triggering a super, both of us at one point on the screen as the attacker of us during the super, as well as the victim during the super. So take a look at that if you haven't already. So challenge, week 73, since the end of the 4-year repeating challenge cycle, we are 19 weeks into a repeat of what is looking potentially like a 54-week cycle. So 54 weeks, we are 19 weeks into potentially repeating it, and we won't know until I guess we finish the full 54 weeks if this is actually a repeating cycle. Still 12 missing challenge characters. Hopefully they might show up. This week's multiplayer reward is Scarecrow's mask, which becomes Scarecrow's ventilator mask. When it's maxed out, 40% blocked specials damage back at the opponent. On tag-in, healing is negated for 10 seconds. And once evolved, on tag-in, 100% chance to hide enemy players' character icons. It was last available February 13th, 2025. After 2 interruptions and then 2 corrections, we are back in the usual pattern of multiplayer rewards. If there is a pattern, and if it doesn't deviate, next week is likely to be Arkham Origins Deadshot. The week after that, it's going to be Mother Box, and that's where it gets interesting, because the cycle starts with Cassandra and Batgirl, so that's probably going to be the week after that. But then it'll become either Metahuman Flash, which is what happened in the most recent cycle that had the deviations and corrections, or it could be Soul Taker Sword, which is what happened with our years and years of repeating multiplayer rewards. So this is fun. Scarecrow's mask. We go from last week's most important piece of gear, Tantu Totem, to Scarecrow's mask, which I'm not going to say that it's the worst gear, but it is among my least favorite gears. The evolved ability to hide enemy players' characters' icons, it's pretty useless against the AI. The AI seems to tag in randomly, so if this is on your defensive team, it helps a little bit against a live player, but most people, I think, know enough to remember who was in which slot to tag in the person they want, and by the time you do another tag in and maybe have forgotten, the effect is done. The mechanics of the special reflection is that it is guaranteed and will reflect special damage before the damage is modified by gears. So if you have gear like, say, Killer Croc Companion gear that reduces special damage, you can still reflect the full 40% damage before you take into account the Killer Croc damage reduction. Negating healing for 10 seconds, that's a really short period of time. Almost never has an impact on the fight, but maybe that's partly because we very rarely rely on healing. It's another ability to me that feels pretty much useless. The mask doesn't do enough to make it worth a gear slot for the way we fight, and even if it does protect you in Survivor against the specials of higher stat opponents, you still need to do damage in order to win that fight, and it's costing you a gear slot. I forgot to mention, next week's challenge, if it follows the cycle, is probably going to be Hawkgirl Regime. In the store, we have 2 new packs. Neither of them is a corroborating clue for the next week's challenge, but the last time, the week before Hawker Regime was available as a challenge, there was no clue, and the pack that was in the store then is in the store again now, which is Eternal Enemies Batman vs. Joker pack. It costs 250,000 power credits. It's guaranteed to contain 1 gold Batman or Joker character card plus 2 support cards. And it says new Batman Ninja Batman and Batman Ninja Lord Joker added. Now, it gives a breakdown of... it's a funny thing. Like, we did an unboxing, or not, sort of a pack opening. It says on the stated amounts that it's 2.5% Batman Ninja Batman. When we did it, we got it closer to 4.5%. It says 2.5% Batman Ninja Lord Joker. We got 3.5%. 9% Red Sun Batman. We got 4%. Suicide Joker Unhinged 9%. We got 1%. 11% Arkham Origins Batman. We got less than that, 7%. 11% Arkham Origins Joker. We got 9.5%. And 55% gold character. And the gold characters that we picked up were Batman, Batman Beyond, Insurgency Batman, Insurgency Joker, and Killing Joke Joker. So maybe what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description of the YouTube video that we did where we were opening a lot of Batman vs. Joker packs. The other new pack this week is a tag team pack for $24.99. Luchador Bane, challenge character. Hawkgirl, who was a previously missing challenge character. And New 52 Nightwing, who's available in the store. It's $24.99. That's Canadian dollars because that's the only currency that matters. And that is what we have access to. Okay. Phantom Zone is finished. It's probably coming back next week. Fight 62 is still broken. Last weekend's breakthrough for golds was Cyborg, Batgirl, and Black Adam. This coming weekend is probably going to be Deadshot, Wonder Woman, and Static. There's a link in the description to a thread in the Injustice Mobile subreddit from Devlin16 that goes over the complete breakthrough cycle. So, as far as the current glitches go, we will go into more detail every time something significant changes, which did not happen this week. But even if nothing changes, we still do a more detailed review once a month. That's the first week of every month. Most recently, that was our recap from September the 4th, 2025. You can also see a video tutorial for every working glitch in our playlist, Current Working Glitches, linked in the description of this video and in the eye in the top right corner. The main thing worth mentioning is that the challenge reset glitch has been confirmed to be working on this week's Mortal Kombat Scorpion challenge. Okay, and that's it. So this is where we like to give a big thank you to our patrons on Patreon, and that is Michael Devries, Irvin, Ruiz, Hoshi127, Nora Klimek, and Miguel, who are supporting us on the credited level. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Komoda.